Best conversation starters for language learners. Yes, I know how it is. By some odd chance, you get introduced to someone who speaks Portuguese, or you're in line at the grocery store and you realize the two people standing in front of you are actually speaking Portuguese. Or better yet, you get to your gate, ready to board your flight to Brazil, and you're suddenly surrounded by hundreds of people who speak Portuguese. And you finally think, yes, this is finally my chance to actually start speaking Portuguese face to face with someone. And then, blank. You suddenly don't know what to say. Or you're just afraid that after saying hi, you won't know how to follow up and keep a conversation going, which will last more than 3 seconds. But don't worry, I've been in those situations before, and I will be able to help you overcome those challenges. Here are some great ways to start a conversation with a native speaker in a foreign language. Smile. First of all, make sure you approach the person with a big and honest smile. I'm not going to go into details of how many doors a smile opens or how important a smile is. There are plenty of researches out there in the internet for you to look into. But don't even think about approaching someone without having that smile in your face. It is that important. I remember being in Turkey, still feeling a little out of place since their culture is considerably different than what I'm used to. It's a predominantly Muslim country. The way that a lot of men and women dress was just not what I saw on a day-to-day basis. You get it, right? Even though Istanbul is a very westernized city, it's still Turkey, and the Turkish people are proud of their country and traditions. Anyways, I go into the hotel, go through the metal detector, yes, the same kind you see at the airports, go into the elevator alone, after realizing that the Muslim women wearing burqas there who had just arrived shortly before me wouldn't dare to walk inside the same elevator as me. It actually made me feel a little bad to be rejected like that. Did I smell bad? Did I look dangerous? Or, I wasn't sure what was going on. It was only later on that I learned why they wouldn't go in the elevator with me. Back to the story. Then the elevator stopped several floors before mine. A man walks in, wearing his traditional Arab tunic cap and with the biggest smile on his face. He just starts talking to me. Basically, he just wanted to practice his English. He obviously assumed that by the way I looked and dressed that I was an English speaker, and he was of course right. I can fully credit his big and honest smile as the one thing which made me feel totally comfortable and actually have a really nice conversation with the guy. Not just that time, but every time we would bump into each other at the hotel. Okay, now that I know you will not forget to smile, here are some phrases you should start with. Oi, tudo bem? Repeating. Oi, tudo bem? It is hi, how are you? Now, please note that this is not a literal translation. The literal translation is, everything okay. But oi, tudo bem is the equivalent translation to hi, how are you in English. So at this point, the person will look puzzled and try to understand why you dare to talk to him or her. This is the hardest part, but don't worry. As long as the person doesn't answer no, which means no. So here we go. No, no means no. So unless the person doesn't answer no, go on to the next part. If I give the sentence tudo bem, a literal translation, like I said, it means everything okay. So if they respond with no, it means that they have a problem and it's probably not the best time to talk. If that happens, just follow up with ok, obrigado, bom dia. Again, ok, obrigado, bom dia. And that means okay, thank you, have a nice day. Again, ok, obrigado, bom dia. Next, you could say, a gente não se conhece, mas estou aprendendo português e adoro praticar. Again, a gente não se conhece, mas estou aprendendo português e adoro praticar. That sentence means we don't know each other, but I'm learning Portuguese and I love to practice. Again, a gente não se conhece, mas estou aprendendo português e adoro praticar. Now, you should try not to take too long before moving to the next part, which is Você tem minutinho? Again, slower. Você tem minutinho? Then that means, do you have a minute? Actually, do you have a short minute? But, So, você tem minutinho? Is your question. Here, you should pay more attention to the person's facial expressions and body language than to the words they say. If they turn their bodies towards you, or if they smile, you're in. You might have found a new friend, actually. If they tilt their head a little bit or look uncomfortable, then proceed with caution. If they respond with anything which has the word não in it, you will know for sure they don't want to talk. And that's okay. Just smile, never forget to smile. Say, ok, obrigado, bom dia, and move on. So you know that. Okay, thank you, have a nice day. Ok, obrigado, bom dia. Positive answers to that question, do you have a minute, will include sim, which means yes, and claro, or lógico, or com certeza. All of those three things, they mean of course. So here we go again. To say of course, you would say claro, or lógico, or com certeza. So if you hear any of those three things, it means the person wants to talk. So you should respond with que bom, obrigado. Again, que bom, obrigado. And that means how nice, thank you. How nice, thank you. Here we go again. Que bom, obrigado. So even if you wouldn't say that in English, how nice, you should say it in Portuguese because, just trust me, it sounds nice. So, que bom, obrigado. Next, you introduce yourself. Me chamo Manoel. E você? So, Manoel is my name. Okay, so, me chamo Manoel. E você? That means my name is Manoel. And you? Again, me chamo Manoel. E você? So at that point, the person should, say what their name is. So let's say the name is Carlos. You would say, Muito prazer, Carlos. Muito prazer. Which means pleasure to meet you, Carlos. Again, muito prazer. Muito prazer, Carlos. So after learning a person's name, you would ask where the person is from. So you would say, bem, eu sou de New York. E você? Again, bem, eu sou de New York. E você? That means, well, I'm from New York. And you? Again, bem, eu sou de New York. E você? Here, they should give you the name of the city. Let's say their answer was Recife. Recife in Pernambuco, beautiful. Here we go. If you've been to Recife before, you should say, ah, Recife é lindo. Again, ah, Recife é lindo, which means, Recife is beautiful. Again, Recife é lindo. And now you just found a topic you're comfortable with, and you should just start talking about all the things you liked and disliked about Recife. Let's assume you haven't been to that person's hometown. If that's the case, you should say, Recife deve ser lindo. Again, Recife deve ser lindo. Slower. Recife deve ser lindo. And that means, Recife must be beautiful. Again, Recife deve ser lindo. Here, they should start giving you A, their opinion about their hometown. B, they would just say which means yeah, yeah, and agree with you. Or C, they will ask you where you're from. If they just start talking, and giving you their opinion about their hometown, then you're off. Enjoy your conversation. You just broke a bunch of social barriers and you're on the right path to accelerating your language learning. If they ask about your hometown, it will sound like e você? Which means yeah, and you? Again, e você? Or they could say e você? De onde você é? Again, e você? De onde você é? That means, yeah, and you? Where are you from? Again, e você? De onde você é? If this was the answer you got, then you're also all set to expand your conversation. Just say where you're from, which, technically you already said, but just start talking about your hometown. Lastly, if they just agreed or rarely disagreed and didn't follow up with anything, you should push the topic a little bit more, like this. O que você mais gosta sobre Recife? Again. O que você mais gosta sobre Recife? That means, what do you like the most about Recife? Again. O que você mais gosta sobre Recife? Here, the person should finally describe at least one thing which you could expand on. It could be a praia, which means the beach. A praia, the beach. Or it could be o carnaval, which means the carnival. O carnaval. It could be a comida, which means the food. A comida. Or whatever. You should be able to start giving your opinion about whatever the person said and expand the conversation from here. You should also ask what is their favorite aspect of whatever they just described. Like this. E qual é a melhor parte da praia em Recife? Again. E qual é a melhor parte da praia em Recife? That means, and what is the best thing about the beach in Recife? Again, e qual é a melhor parte da praia em Recife? And that is what I found out to be the best way to start a conversation with a random person in a foreign language. It works every time. And you always come out looking like, the cool guy or the cool girl who's just very friendly and has put a lot of effort learning my language. You just don't learn this type of stuff in language courses or in books, do you? But why not? Courses should encourage you to speak in your target language from day one. This stuff is so simple and so easily overlooked by language teachers. I don't understand. Well, this short and simple script has helped me a lot when starting conversations with people who spoke languages I was learning. I hope it can help you too. And to finish, here's a list of other things you might find helpful to add to your conversations. Talking about recent news. Então, Me diga, qual é a sua opinião sobre esse tal de iPad 7 que todo mundo está falando? Again. Então, me diga, qual é a sua opinião sobre esse tal de iPad 7 que todo mundo está falando? That means, so tell me, what is your opinion about this iPad 7 which everybody's talking about? Again, então, me diga, qual é a sua opinião sobre esse tal de iPad 7 que todo mundo está falando? You could also talk about, funny news or shocking news, just something, that's interesting. Here's an example. Você viu no jornal a matéria sobre a menina que por 15 anos comeu só chicken nuggets? Again. Você viu no jornal a matéria sobre a menina que por 15 anos comeu só chicken nuggets? That means, did you see on the newspaper the article about the girl who for 15 years ate only chicken nuggets? Again, the sentence is: Você viu no jornal a matéria sobre a menina que por 15 anos comeu só chicken nuggets? Your next sentence can be work related. Let's say my profession is teacher. So teacher is professor. So here we go. Eu sou professor. Qual é o seu ramo de trabalho? Again. Eu sou professor. Qual é seu ramo de trabalho? That means I'm a teacher. What is your field of work? Again. Eu sou professor. Qual é seu ramo de trabalho? You can talk about preferences, like let's say music. Let's say Michael Jackson, okay? You would say, você gosta de Michael Jackson? Você gosta de. Você gosta de Michael Jackson? Você gosta de Coca-Cola? You got it. That means, do you like Michael Jackson? Do you like Coca-Cola? You can talk about experiences, like, have you ever, whatever. That would be, você já foi para Flórida? Which means, have you ever gone to Florida? Você já foi para Flórida? You can talk about language learning. Maybe, the person you just met is a fellow language learner. You would say, você fala outras línguas? That means, do you speak other languages? Again, você fala outras línguas? That means, do you speak other languages? That's it. If you like this post, please don't forget to share with your friends. And if you have any questions, just post a comment and I'll be glad to answer. Thank you very much.